Fearless summary book by Lauren Roberts. A ring on her finger, blood on the floor, and a betrayal that still breathes between them. Paedyn, marked as ordinary in a kingdom of elites, is forced to marry the man who should hate her, and whom she herself stripped of everything. As the palace dresses her as queen, her mind sinks into the certainty that something worse than death awaits her, because her enemy doesn't wield swords. He whispers decrees, and with a single word, he can turn her into a symbol of redemption or ruin. Part 1. The Bride of Blood and the Crown. Blood trickles down her leg, marking the white marble of Ilya's throne. Paedyn Gray, the impostor, the traitor, the king's murderer, is on her knees before her sentence. The metallic clang of manacles accompanies her bated breath as the weight of fate falls upon her. Paedyn, the new king's voice says, its tone as soft as it is lethal. "Look at me." She does. Her eyes lift and crash into Kit's, the son of the man she killed, the prince who was once her ally and her most dangerous doubt. Now he is her judge, her enemy, and her betrothed. "You will be my queen," he declares, and with that gesture, he changes the course of a nation. Thus begins the most unexpected act of this political tragedy. Kit not only forgives her, but transforms her blood into a flag. Her union with Paedyn will be the symbol that opens Ilya's doors to the ordinaries, those without skills, despised for generations, and through that marriage, she will seek to rebuild alliances with neighboring kingdoms and avoid famine and collapse. But Paedyn is not a docile piece on this chessboard. The ring he slips onto her finger is a chain in disguise. He does not forget that Kit is the tyrant's son, nor that she herself was branded with an O as a reminder of her weakness. The people hate her, the court despises her, and the only one who ever truly saw her is hiding among the palace columns, swallowing his fury. When the king's brother, the enforcer, the man who hunted her, protected her, loved her, and who now watches her silently, broken inside. His gaze fails to kill her, but it wounds more than any sword. In an act that seems political, but is also personal, Kit orders her to be released from her shackles. Paedyn staggers to her feet. Murmurs encircle her like blades. She is not a queen. She is a threat in a dress, a dissonant note in the enforced harmony of the elite. Ilya's future depends on this union, Kit announces to the throne. If we do not change, we will perish. The room fills with protests, faces petrified by the young king's audacity. But he is no longer the boy who played at ruling. He has read the reports of famine, seen the death toll, and understood that his father's arrogance left only ruins. And Paedyn, the survivor, the traitor turned queen, is her most desperate gamble. But the protagonist's heart is torn between the idea of a unified Ilya and the impossibility of loving a man whose crown shines with his father's blood. In this internal chaos, only one certainty remains. Kai still sees her. He still loves her. And that impossible love is another unhealed wound. "I am no one's queen," she tells the mirror in her new room, as the afternoon light falls on the gardens where everything changed. She doesn't know it yet, but the war has already begun. And it isn't fought only with swords. It is fought in her silences, in the memories of the poppy field, in the promises that should never have been made. It is fought in the rings that weigh more than a crown, and in the certainty that peace, if it comes, will cost more than any battle. Part 2. The Price of Hope. The entire court still resonates with the audacity of the royal announcement. An ordinary has become queen. Paedyn doesn't need powers to shake the foundations of Ilya. Her mere existence in the palace is a living threat, and she knows it. Every step she takes, every glance she receives, bears the mark of contempt and disbelief. Kit, on the other hand, remains steadfast, cold, calculating, as if the weight of the throne has tempered his voice and hardened his gestures. In front of everyone, he defends his decision as a strategic move. Uniting with Paedyn not only redeems the kingdom from its bloody past, but also opens it to the future. What he doesn't say is that it's also a way to control her. Because if Paedyn becomes a symbol, she can no longer be a threat. Our survival depends on a united Ilya, he declares, his voice clear and resonant. The ordinaries must return, and Paedyn will be their bridge. But what is sold as reconciliation is, in truth, a gilded prison. She has been assigned the queen's chambers. She has been given a lady-in-waiting. Her wounds have been dressed. But none of that erases the fact that she is a prisoner in the heart of the enemy, a queen without a crown, a survivor without allies. How do you keep from falling apart? Ellie, her new assistant, asks, wiping the dried blood from her skin. I don't, Paedyn replies. I just pretend well. And all the while, Kai burns silently. From the shadows of the palace, she watches as her brother becomes the king their father would have wanted. And she hates him for it. Every decree, every gesture toward Paedyn, is a stab that drives him further away from her, because he was the one who helped her escape. He was the one who broke all the rules for love. And now he can only watch as she walks away, dressed in power and tragedy. Do you think this is what I wanted? Paedyn whispers in one of their brief stolen conversations. I just wanted to live. Now I have to save a kingdom that hates me. The castle is a minefield. Alliances shift. Rumors simmer beneath the marble walls. And Callum, former resistance leader, appears as an unexpected advisor to the king. His presence is both a promise and a warning. The power games have begun, and the game is more complex than anyone suspects. But the most unexpected gesture is yet to come. During a council meeting, Kit stands up and presents his proposal to nobles and army leaders. Open the borders. Re-establish relations with Dor, Tando, and Isram. And more than that, abolish the purge of the ordinaries. A murmur of horror ripples through the room. And then, with a calm that chills the blood, Kit adds, my marriage to Paedyn will be the first step. If we cannot accept an ordinary into our court, how do we expect the world to accept us? In that moment, Paedyn understands that her body, her blood, and her history have become currency. She is the price of hope. And that hope has teeth. Because not everyone is willing to see their privileges die without a fight. A conspiracy is brewing. Threats are approaching. And in the midst of it all, Paedyn begins to feel an unexpected vertigo. Doubt. What if Kit, in her own way, truly wants to change the world? What if she can do it? But that possibility, like all light in this kingdom, comes with a shadow. And someone, somewhere in the palace, has already decided that Paedyn Gray will not make it to the altar alive. Part 3. Echoes of the Past and Shadows of Desire. The nights in the castle are heavy, not because of the silence, but because of what is left unsaid, because of the ghosts that dwell between the columns. Paedyn doesn't sleep. She sits in front of the window of her new room, looking out at the gardens where she was hunted as a criminal, and where she now walks as a queen. But the title brings her no peace, only more enemies. Kai appears like a specter. He no longer faces her. He no longer seeks her out. He only watches her, always from afar, as if the act of getting close could break him. Why don't you talk to me? Paedyn whispers to him one night, intercepting him in an empty hallway. Because if I do, I won't be able to stop myself, he replies, his voice laden with venom and pain. What was once desire is now a rift, an abyss forged by secrets, betrayals, and an engagement ring Paedyn didn't choose. But the memories are there, floating between them like rusty blades. The stolen kisses in the sand, the escapes, the broken promises. And yet, Kay's heart has not forgotten, nor hers. Meanwhile, the palace continues its diplomatic charade. Balls, meetings, and preparations for the wedding that will seal Ilya's new destiny are organized. Paedyn must learn to walk with crowns that weigh more than chains. She smiles at banquets. She feigns dignity in front of nobles who regard her like a stain. You're brave, Ellie tells her, adjusting the corset of her dress. Or just plain stupid. Perhaps both, Paedyn replies with a broken smile. But the threat is real. Anonymous letters begin to arrive. Objects displaced in her room. Servants disappear. And one day, she finds a dagger under her pillow with a simple note. Queens fall faster than kings. Kai knows this. So does Kit. But the king plays with masks, and the brother with fire. Because while Kit keeps her visible as a banner of his revolution, Kai trains her in secret. He teaches her to read codes, to dodge blades, to survive. This isn't about you, Kai says, throwing a knife near her head in the training room. It's about what you stand for. But she lies. Every touch, every word, contradicts that. The tension escalates when ambassadors arrive from Tando, a kingdom once allied with Ilya. At the welcoming dinner, one of them addresses Paedyn directly. Is it true that he killed the king? Everyone falls silent. Occupied, and history, written by those who survive. That moment becomes instant legend. And though she may not know it, her legend begins to grow outside the palace. In the taverns, in the alleyways, in the voices of the oppressed. But enemies listen too. And they prepare. In the gloom of a moonless night, Kai enters her room. If you are going to die for this kingdom, let it at least be by your choice, he says, handing her a marked-up map. An escape plan. Paedyn looks at him. His heart is pounding like a drum. And you? Would you come with me? I can't, he replies. But I would die if you stayed. The tears don't fall. Not anymore. Only silence prevails. The war raging in their bodies hasn't even begun outside yet, but it has already consumed everything they were. Part 4. The Edge of Loyalty. The castle seems peaceful, but that calm is a disguise. Every brick hides a conspiracy. Every smiling face is a veil for betrayal. And Paedyn, though she wears no armor, knows she walks among blades. She is no longer just the king's betrothed. She has become a public figure, a divisive symbol, hope for the ordinaries, abomination to the elites. You can't protect her forever, Kai tells his brother, in one of the many tense encounters they hold away from the council's eyes. Kit doesn't respond. She just stares at a map of the kingdom, where red markings indicate areas in rebellion. I'm not trying to protect her, she says finally. I'm trying to change the world that wants her dead. And she's succeeding. At a devastating price. Paedyn, meanwhile, sinks into an emotional labyrinth. Her identity is no longer hers. She must speak like a queen, act like a queen, breathe like a queen. But deep down, she's still the girl who stole bread to survive. One day, during a propaganda visit to the village, a child offers her a flower. The mother immediately drags him away, horrified. Paedyn bends down and carefully takes the flower. Thank you, she tells the boy. No one is too young to make a difference. The scene goes viral. Rumors of her compassion, of her humanity, begin to gain her sympathizers. But also more subtle enemies. In the council, several nobles demand that she step back from public duties. They say she is polluting politics with sentimentality. Kit, however, remains steadfast. If she falls, the future we promised falls with her. But even her closest allies begin to doubt her. Callum, the leader of the resistance and a member of the new council, confronts her privately. Do you realize what you stand for? Yes. An easy target. No. A beacon. And if it goes out, thousands will be lost in the darkness. Those words burn her more than any dagger. Because, deep down, she doesn't feel like a leader. Nor a queen. Nor a symbol. Just a girl caught between two fires. That of a king who needs her, and that of a warrior who silently loves her. Kai continues to train her, although each encounter between them is an emotional battle. The desire never left, but it's poisoned by the past. You shouldn't look at me like that, she says to him one night, when their fingers accidentally brush. What? As if there were still an us. Kai doesn't respond. He just walks away. As always. At the same time, Paedyn begins to sense that something bigger is brewing. Spies in the corridors. Documents disappearing. And an unexpected visitor. The High General of Isram arrives unannounced. His presence breaks the palace routine like a bolt from the blue. During the reception banquet, the general issues a warning. History does not forgive weak kings, nor imposed queens. That night, Kit visits Paedyn. "Do you trust me?" he asks, without a crown, without titles. Just a young man with politics on his hands. "I trust what you do," she replies, "not why you do it." The silence that follows is deeper than any promise, because loyalty, like swords, always cuts a double edge. And with Ilya, even love can cut your throat. Part 5. The Roar of Resistance. The castle is no longer a safe place. The resistance has infiltrated beyond the stone walls. There are eyes in every corner, knives under every table, and the fire Kit lit with her reforms begins to consume more than she can control. The attacks begin subtly. Sabotage in the kitchens, coded messages found in the corridors, servants disappearing without a trace. But then, the threat becomes flesh and steel. During a diplomatic event, an explosion rocks the council chamber. 3 dead. A clear message. There will be no peace with imposters. Paedyn survives. Barely. Kai finds her in the rubble, her face covered in blood, her dress ripped. "Are you okay?" he asks, his voice strained. "I think someone just gave me a very clear opinion about my dress." She jokes. But she's trembling. Kit reacts with an iron fist. He orders raids in the slums. Dozens of people are arrested. The old Ilya resurfaces under his rule, and the more radical advisors applaud. "If we rule with weakness, we will drown in it," one says. But Paedyn sees something else. Fear, chaos. The same cycle that once made her a fugitive. "You're making the same mistakes your father did." She snaps at Kit in a private argument. "I have no choice. You always do." But that night, another assassination attempt confirms that options are dwindling. A poisoned arrow pierces her doorframe. The attached note reads, "It's not too late to kneel." Kai insists she flee. He offers forged passports, a horse, a safe route. "We can disappear, Pa. No one will find us." She looks at him. The temptation is real. It always is when Kai is around. "I didn't come here to escape," he replies. "I came to survive." And now, to resist. Their bond strengthens in the shadows. Between secret training and stolen conversations, the desire reappears, fiercer than before. "Why are you still here?" she asks him one night, as they review maps. "Because I don't know how to love halfway." The kiss that follows isn't sweet. It's rabid, desperate, almost tragic, because they both know that time is against them, and that, when dawn breaks, they must return to pretending they are nothing. Meanwhile, Callum leads a parallel investigation. He discovers that one of Kit's advisors, General Thorne, could be behind the attacks. But there isn't enough evidence, only rumors, only blood. Tensions reach their peak when a rebel group takes one of Dor's nobles hostage during a party in the palace gardens. Paedyn acts without thinking. He throws himself among the hostages, talks, negotiates, and manages to get him released. But one of the rebels, before being struck down, whispers to her, "The crown cannot save you, nor can he." She trembles, because deep down, she fears it's true. And while the court applauds her bravery, the resistance roars louder. The revolution is no longer a threat. It's a countdown. Part 6. The War Under the Skin. The air in Ilya smells of war, not the kind declared with swords and banners. Not yet. This one is quieter, crueler. The war of whispers, of eyes that follow you, of walls that listen. Paedyn no longer pretends not to be afraid. She lives with it, breathes it. Every move inside the castle could be her last. And although the council insists on keeping the wedding, she knows that what is coming cannot be stopped with rings or promises. Kit becomes increasingly secretive. The pressure consumes him. His decisions are swift, cold, calculated. He wants to save his kingdom, but he is beginning to resemble too much the man who destroyed the last one. You said everything would be different. Paedyn remonstrates with her one night, in front of Ilya's map. And it will be. At what cost? Whatever it takes. The gap between them grows. Kai, on the other hand, becomes her shadow, but he's no longer just a guardian. He's a companion. In the early mornings, they study escape routes. In the afternoons, they read secret council documents. And at night, they lose themselves in silences that speak volumes. Do you know what I'm afraid of? She says one night, her eyes fixed on the starry vault of the ceiling. Dying. No. Surviving. And everything staying the same. Kai doesn't respond. But that night, he doesn't back down. The blow comes without warning. An armed group bursts into the throne room during a public audience. Screams. Steel. Blood. Paedyn is dragged away by two loyal soldiers as chaos engulfs the king. Several nobles die. Among them Thorn. And it wasn't an external attack. It was friendly fire. The attack reveals that a faction within the military itself has been plotting against reform. The failed coup unleashes all hell. Kit imposes martial law. Trust becomes a luxury. Every ally is a suspect. Every enemy, a warning. Callum disappears. Kai is removed as enforcer. And Paedyn is locked away. Not in a cell. In a golden tower. It's for your safety, Kit says, her voice cracking. This isn't safety, it's control. I love you, Paedyn. But the kingdom needs to see you intact. The words hurt more than the bars. Because for the first time, she believed in him. And now she sees only another king willing to sacrifice everything to keep the crown on his head. In the solitude of her confinement, Paedyn begins to change. She no longer dreams of escape. She dreams of burning, of breaking, of owning her story again. One day, Kai appears, wounded, filthy, alive. Come with me. Where we can do more than survive. She looks at him. And for the first time, she chooses something. Not for the kingdom. Not for Kit. For her. Come on. The escape is brutal. Through abandoned tunnels, secret passages, stairwells that creak with centuries of secrets. Paedyn lets himself be carried away. But he doesn't flee. He fights. Outside the castle, the world has changed. The city is on the brink of total rebellion. The streets are trenches. Black flags wave. And on the walls, her face appears next to the motto. Blood does not make a queen. A will does. She is no longer a symbol of Kit. She is an emblem of resistance. And the war now has truly begun. Part 7. The Crown of Those Who Burn. The city is burning. Ilya, with its marble towers and history written in blood, has been caught by the fire it tried to ignore. What began as a reform has become an uprising. And at the center of the storm, Paedyn without a crown, without a scepter, but with a purpose sharper than any sword. The rebellion is no longer subterranean. The squares are occupied. The banners of the ordinaries waver alongside makeshift spears. Soldiers hesitate, some desert. The people are divided between fear and hope. And in that chaos, Paedyn's voice becomes a flame. We don't want crumbs anymore, he shouts from the top of a barricade. We don't want mercy. We want justice. Kai watches her from below, his chest on fire. He's never seen her so alive. He's never seen her so dangerous. But while she leads with words and open wounds, in the castle, Kit bleeds out in impossible decisions. Every decree she signs costs lives. Every silence weighs like a confession. She's lost control, and she knows it. When Paedyn reaches the castle gates, she doesn't do so as a prisoner, nor as a queen. She does so as a threat. Kai escorts her. The soldiers make way. Inside, Kit waits. Did you come to kill me? He asks, without armor, without an escort. No, but I can no longer protect you. What follows isn't a physical battle. It's a clash of truths. Kit confesses that the military coup was planned by an extremist wing he thought he controlled. That the deaths have shattered him. that he wanted to change things, but underestimated the magnitude of the hatred. Paedyn offers him a way out. Abdicate. Let a new council, composed of ordinaries and elites, rule. A government built not on crowns, but on balance. Kit, defeated, nods. I never wanted to be my father. And you never were, she replies gently. But even so, the throne cannot be your redemption. The transition is not peaceful. There is blood. There is betrayal. There are desperate attempts to halt the change. But Kit's decision, backed by the people, begins a new cycle. Paedyn does not become queen. She becomes something more. A leader without a throne. A figure without a title, but with real power. Her relationship with Kai is not a fairy tale. It is a shared scar. It is complicity. It is something that is still being born. Broken, yes, but authentic. In the final scene, Paedyn walks through the ruins of the old throne room. The broken stained glass windows, the echo of speeches, the footsteps of those no longer here. Kai approaches. What do you see? She stops. A place where an empire died. And perhaps something better was born. And so it ends, not with fireworks, but with ashes. And in them, the possibility of a future yet to be written. End of Fearless. Get the book at planetalibro.com.